Hello and welcome to yet another episode where I take you to temples that are rich in culture, heritage and lore. In this episode, we are going to be traveling to 3 different temples, all of which have to be seen on the same day. Now you may think that this is just the simplest of matters. We just go, we visit one temple, then we go to the second temple, then we go to visit the third temple. After all, there are people who visit all the 9 Navagraha temples in a matter of 2 days. So why can't we visit 3 temples is what you may be asking yourself. But then, in this case, the first temple is at ground level and is very easily seen. The second temple involves the climbing up of 1018 steps and then the climbing down. And the third one involves the climbing up of around 500 and odd steps and then coming down once again. And as per practice, this is to be done in such a way that the first temple is to be seen in the morning, the second temple in the afternoon, and the third in the evening. Kalai Kadambar, Madhyanna Shokesar, Andi Venginadar. This is the expression that is used. And over the next 3 parts, I am going to take you to each of these 3 temples. I'm not going to tax your legs. We will do it in a relaxed fashion. We will go to the first temple, take a break, and then we go to the second temple, take a break, and then we go to the third temple. And then we reflect on what all the temples have shown us. All the 3 temples are on the banks of the river Cauvery, and they are very close to Tiruchirappalli. Between Trichy and Namakkal or Karur, on that route particularly, the Cauvery widens and becomes very, very broad and also becomes a very quiet and calm river. Here it is known as the Akhanda Cauvery. And these 3 temples are all on its banks. Kulithalai or Kadambarkoil, the first, and Ayyarmalai or Thiruvatpokki or Ratnagirishwarar Kovil, the second, are both on one side, and Maragadachaleshwarar or Thiruingoimalai is on the other side of the river Cauvery. And we start with Kadambarkoil. This is located in the town of Kulithalai. Kulithalai is a corruption of Kuri Tandalai. Tandalai is a grove or orchard and Kuri is a depression. And therefore, this must have been an orchard or a grove of Kadamba trees, the bur flower tree. And even today, the Sthala Vriksham for this particular temple is the Kadamba Vriksham. And therefore, the Lord here is known as Kadambavaneshwarar. And this place is also known as Kadambanthurai. Thurai meaning a place that is on the banks of the river. In terms of its history, the temple is particularly fascinating because it has one of the oldest of the Nayanmars, even before the Tevara mover. Ayyadigal Kadavarkoil has sung one of his Kshetra Venbas on this particular temple. And it is from that Venba that we are able to identify that the old name for this shrine was Kulithalai, which over a period of time became Kulithalai. Thereafter, a steady stream of great personalities has visited this shrine. So we've had Ayyadigal Kadavarkoil, then we have had Appar. After Appar, we have had Pattinathu Adigal, we have had Arunagirinathar, and then we have had some anonymous composers of whom we know nothing except their works, and we know that they are singularly beautiful. And then we have Muthuswami Dikshitar visiting the shrine as well. So almost from the 6th century till the 19th century, there is an unbroken lineage of savants and seers and musicians and composers who have come here and lavished their praise on this deity. So let us go to Kadambarkoil and see what this temple has to offer. The legend behind Kadambarkoil is that Brahma became completely exasperated with the continued task of creation and therefore requested Lord Shiva for his blessings. And he was asked to proceed to Kadambanthurai, where he meditated and was eventually blessed. And at his request, Lord Shiva continued to reside at this shrine and continues to bless his devotees. The Shiva Linga here is of 5 faces and it faces north. The entire temple faces north. And therefore, because it is identical in its orientation as that of the Vishwanatha Swami temple with reference to the river Ganges in Varanasi, this place is known as Dakshina Kasi. And the Cauvery here is exalted to a status equal to the river Ganga. The second legend associated with this place is that when the Rakshasa Dhumralochana was being attacked by Devi, she requested the Saptamatrikas, or the 7 mother goddesses, to accompany her and assist her in the battle. The 7 goddesses chased Dhumralochana and he went and hid in the hermitage of Rishi Katyayana. The 7 goddesses assumed that the Rishi was actually Dhumralochana in disguise and killed him. He was eventually restored to life, but he cursed the goddesses with Brahmahati dosha. They therefore came to Kadambanthurai and prayed to Lord Shiva and were eventually given salvation. Even today, there are images of the Saptamatrikas inside the sanctum of Lord Shiva at this particular shrine. The goddess here is known as Mutrila Mulayammai. She whose breasts have not matured. So she is still a very young girl. In Sanskrit, the name translates to Bala Kuchambika. There is a shrine for Subramanya Swami over here, and as is mentioned in the Sthala Purana here, it is said that Lord Subramanya lost his power of speech because he overheard Shiva initiating Parvati into the Pranava mantra. And therefore he came and prayed here and was given back his ability to speak. In terms of the size of the temple, it is very small with just 2 circumambulatory passages. Lord Shiva, as I said, faces north, and by his side is the sanctum for goddess Balakuchambika. In terms of history, as I said earlier, we begin almost from the 6th century when Ayyadihal Kadambarkoil comes here and composes one of his Kshetra Venbas on this particular shrine. In fact, of the 24 Kshetra Venbas that are available of Kadambarkoil, one of them is on this particular temple. He says, Alugu Thiri Kurambayangadu Vittu Avi Olugum Boludu Ariyavonna Kalugu Kalithu Undalayamun Kaviriyin Tenpar Kulithandalayane Kuru. And that is how, as I said earlier, we come to know that the shrine was known as Kulithandalai. Upper comes in the 7th century, and what is very interesting is that Upper, on coming to know that the goddess here was known as Mutrila Mulayammai, or a young girl, begins his decade of verses on this temple by describing one such young girl who, having seen the Lord coming out in procession at this temple, falls in love with this deity, but is of an age when she is unable to express what she is feeling because she is so young. And therefore, her mother speaks about what the child is experiencing. And Upper says, Mutrila Mulayal Ivalagilum Atran Tirkum Arivilalagilum Katrai Senjadayan Kadambanthurai Petra Murti Endral Yengal Vedaye. So, she is a child whose breasts have not developed. She is also not of an age where she can explain things clearly. But she, having seen your Murti, O Lord, just keeps speaking about you all the time. There are 9 more verses by Upper, and there are 2 which are very musical. One of them is Aryan Tamilod Ishayanavan Kuriya Gunatharku Kurinidravan Karigai Udayan Kadambanthurai Siriya Bhaktar Sendradai Minhale. he who is worshipped by Sanskrit, Tamil and music. Aryan Tamilodu Isayanavan. That is how this verse begins. There is yet another verse which says, Panninin mozhi ketkum paramane. That Lord who is listening to the language of music at all points of time. Vannanan malaran paladevarum kannanum ariyan Kadambanthurai nanna nam vinayayina nasame. He who cannot be understood by Brahma who sits on the flower, or by the great Devas, or by Vishnu. He sits at Kadambanthurai, and when we approach him, our greatest of sins will simply vanish. This is upper on this particular shrine. In the 14th century, we have Patinathadigal coming over here. And Patinathadigal obviously is traveling to various places en route to Kanchipuram. And this is how he describes this particular shrine along with several other shrines that he is talking about. Nanni Paravum Thiruvavaduthurai Nalla Nallur, Mannir Poli Kadambur, Kadambanthurai Mannu Pungur, Ennarkariya Paraithurayer Kul, Edirkol Padi, Kanni Pirai Sadayon Kachi Ekamban Kanmin Chendre. So in one verse, he is talking about that well-spread Thiruvavaduthurai, that great Nallur, that effulgent Kadambur, that Kadambanthurai, Pungur, and Paraithurai, which we are unable to even comprehend about. Having sung of all these places, we then go to Kachi or Kanchipuram, where we worship Ekambranatha Swami, who is wearing a slender crescent on his locks. This is what Patinathadigal has to say about Kadambanthurai. In the 15th century, Arunagirinatha comes here, and he too dedicates a set of verses on the Muruga at this particular shrine, and they form a part of the Tiruppugal. In addition to these, we have certain anonymous composers. Who, for instance, composed the Kadambanthurai Ula, we have no idea. But Uve Swaminatha Iyer has resurrected this particular work, and it has since been published as well. The Ula is a wonderful description of the way the temple procession happens. It talks about the way the idols are brought out, and then the Lord is placed on his great chariot. It also, very interestingly, talks about how the new chariot of the temple at the time of the writing of the Ula was endowed by a devotee called Saravanan from a town called Pagai. Pagai, which is somewhere in the North Arcot district. The Lord is placed on the chariot, and then the other deities which form the procession are described, and then there is a great description of the musical instruments that are part of the entire procession. It also talks about the people who came along with the procession. And finally, it ends with a conversation among a set of women who are actually devotees in various stages of maturity. So there is the very novice of a devotee who is just beginning to experience what it is to have passion for the Lord, and that is depicted by a very young girl. Then there is a girl who is slightly more advanced in age. There is a third who is even more advanced, and finally there is a mature woman who depicts the ripe devotee, and she explains the greatness of the Lord to all the others. Let us look at the verse that describes some of the musical instruments of this particular temple. Takkai Udukkai Tadari Tavil Beri Urumikka Muranga Virutarpa Mikkadoni Mattalangai Talavoli Mari Murangoli Pol Tattalangendre Padan Sadippa Yettisayum Thurumbu Vinai Suramandalam Padatrarumbu Nagan Thani Isaipa Umbarallam Arpa Maraigal Arun Mover Padal Andam Perpa Isai Tanbar Puranchura பார்ப்புறத்தில் இன்று புதுத்தேர் இசைந்து அழுத்தி செல்வதனால் உன்று பழுந்தேர் வயிறு சூழ் உழைந்து நன்று உதவும் பைங்குழவி ஒன்றின்ற பான்மையென மேன்மை தரும் செங்கதிரோன்றேர் கீட்டிசை தோன்ற, and so on it goes. So it talks about takkai, udukkai, tadari, tavil, bheri. It talks about mattalam, thala oli, somebody beating the time, mari, murangu oli. It talks about thurumbu veenai, swaramandalam, that is swaramandal. And then it talks about nagatani isai, which is probably the nadaswaram itself or nagaswaram. And then people reciting the Vedas and people also singing the verses of the great Tevara mover. And the volume is such that the skies are pierced by this noise. In the midst of all this, the new chariot presses on the ground and comes out in procession. The entire work, this is just a small part of it, is just fascinating to read because it gives you a beautiful word picture of what this shrine is all about. Muthuswami Dikshitar comes here in the 19th century. It is believed that Dikshitar came to this part of the world in the final years of his life while searching for his brother and travelling from Thiruvarur en route to Madurai. When he comes to Kadambarkoil, he composes Neelakantham Bajeham in the raga Kedara Gaula. And it is, as is typical of Muthuswami Dikshitar, he includes a lot of references to the stories behind this particular shrine, as he does in so many of his other compositions. So, Neelakantham Bajeham Satatam Neerajasanadinutam. As is mentioned very clearly in the legend, Brahma came and worshipped over here, and that is how the temple was established, and therefore Neerajasanadinutam, worshipped by Brahma. And then the name of the goddess, Balakuchamba Sahitam, Mutrila Mulai Ammai becomes Balakuchamba, Balachandra Sevitam, then Sheela Guruguha Pujitam, Sri Kadamba Vanavasam. The Kadamba becomes Kadamba in Muthuswami Dikshitar's Kriti. And then Akshaya Rupa, Akhanda Cauvery, Tira Uttarabhimukam, because the Lord is facing the north, Panchamukham, because he has got 5 faces. And then finally towards the end of the song, Dakshina Kasipuram, he describes this place as the southern Kasi, of which I have already mentioned to you before. The name of the raga also appears in the Kriti. And therefore, in a small song, Neelakantham Bajeham, Dikshitar packs in as many references as possible. When we went on a heritage tour to this triad of temples, we had the good fortune of having Vivek Sadasivam coming along with us. Vivek belongs to the Shishya Parampara of the Muthuswami Dikshitar lineage, his grandfather and great-grandfather being representatives of that line, and then his father too. And later, Vivek learned from Sangeeta Kalanidhi Sanjay Subramaniam, continues to learn from Sangeeta Kalanidhi Sanjay Subramaniam. So when Vivek came with us, he sang Neelakantham Bajeham in the sanctum of this particular temple. And so now what you are going to be seeing is a video of him singing there. You will hear all the temple noises, but then that is part of the charm, isn't it? It almost brings to life the way Dikshitar must have composed this particular Kriti.
Neelakantham Bajeham Neelakantham Bajeham Satatam Neerajasanadinutam Neelakantham Bajeham Satatam Neerajasanadinutam Neelakantham Bajeham Balakuchamba Sahitam Balakuchamba Sahitam Balakuchamba Sahitam Balachandra Sevitam Balakuchamba Sahitam Balachandra Sevitam सहितं शीलगुरुगुहपूजितं श्रीकदम्बवननाथं शीलगुरुगुहपूजितं श्रीकदम्बवननाथं नीलकण्ठं भजेऽहं सततं नीरजासनादिनुतं नीलकण्ठं भजेऽहम् अक्षयरूपाखण्ड कावेरी तीर उत्तराभिमुखं पञ्चमुखम् अक्षयरूपाखण्ड कावेरी तीर उत्तराभिमुखं पञ्चमुखं रक्षितभक्तप्रमुखं नक्षत्रेशेखरं नामरूप विचित्रधरदक्षतरमीश्वरं केदारगौळप्रियकरं नक्षत्रेशेखरं नामरूप विचित्रधरदक्षतरमीश्वरं केदारगौळप्रियकरं दक्षिणकाशीपुरं दण्डितकामत्रिपुरं दक्षिणकाशीपुरं दण्डितकामत्रिपुरं दक्षध्वरहरं हरं दयाकरं कमलकरं दक्षिणकाशीपुरं दण्डितकामत्रिपुरं दक्षध्वरहरं हरं दयाकरं कमलकरं सानिधप मगरि गरि सनिधप मपनि सरि मगरि मापनि दप मपनि सरि रि मगरि सनिधप नि सरि मगरि गरि सनि सरि गरि सरि सनिधप रि सनिधप मग गरि सनि स रि मपनि सरि गरि नीलकण्ठं भजेऽहं सततं नीरजासनादिनुतं नीलकण्ठं
Before we take leave of Kadambanthurai, I must tell you that this shrine and the next shrine that we are going to, Thiruvatpokki, share a common Sthala Purana, which is that of the Saptamatrikas, which I have already mentioned to you. And then, very interestingly, the second and the third shrine share a Sthala Purana as well of a battle between Vayu and Adisesha. And it is believed that that is how those two temples got formed. So in some way or the other, each of these shrines is linked to the other. And they are also linked by the great Nayanmars to upper who came to Thiruvatpokki and Kadambarkoil, and Gnanasambandar who came to Thiruingoimalai. And then we also have Muthuswami Dikshitar as a common personality who visited each of these three shrines. And that is what makes worshipping at each of these places so very interesting. I will see you soon once again, and this time at Thiruvatpokki. Bye for now.